Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, we are going to be talking about some of the roster changes in the CDL and then diving into a player tier list of all the current active starters in the CDL, ranking them post Major 1 as we await matches in a few weeks here. We somehow have another break, but if you guys enjoy this one, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Drop a follow, drop a 5-star review if you're on the audio platforms. We appreciate all the support as always. Tier lists are one of our favorite pods to do. They're always fun, always entertaining, always get a lot of conversation in the comments. Doing it a little different this time. In the past, we've had restrictions for each position. This time, we're just going to have unlimited spots available in each tier to put them. So excited to dive into that. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. Brock, how you doing today?
Oh, Monday, love Mondays as always, not too bad, I would say. Excited to do this tier list and, just waiting to get back for these matches to start back up again. So, fun to watch.
Yeah, too many damn breaks this year. It's like, oh, we got the giant off season, and then we got Christmas and holiday break, and then we're done with Major 1. Now we got a 3-week break until matches. It's like, oh my god, there's so many breaks.
Yeah, no need
matches.
No need for all that breaks.
It's absurd. The holiday one, it's like, okay, whatever, give people time to go see their family. That one's fine, but like, why is there a 3-week break after Major 1? Like, why are we not just right back into matches?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's not like the players like just completed an NFL season and need some break.
Yeah, this is a little different than the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Before we do the tier list, though, as you guys can see on the screen, it's up there. Want to talk a couple quick roster moves. So the first one that we should be able to go over pretty quickly because it's not like there's no confirmed or rumored player, at least as of the time that we hit record on this. There's no really rumored player to fill in. That is Illy being removed from the Surge roster. Not technically confirmed, like I said, but heavily rumored. Obviously, if you look at it from a gameplay perspective, I think you would agree, Brock, this makes zero sense, but it's probably not a gameplay thing. It's probably more of an out of game thing from, the stuff we were seeing in the interviews potentially.
Yeah, definitely out of game thing because he is literally carrying his team in the search and, basically throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely argue he was their best player on the team. Maybe Abezy, you could make a little argument for. He's looked pretty good, but Illy has been, if not their best, one of their best players. So, like, if it was actually in-game stuff, this move is completely faded because, I mean, Illy's been very good, but obviously I think we all would speculate that this is maybe out of game for the stuff that was going on at the tournament. But, I mean, if it was in-game purely, I'd say this is a horrible move. Arcitys should be the one being dropped for a sub player.
Yep, fully agree.
Excuse me. Then we got Boston bringing in a roster move that is an interesting one for me to dissect because it's two players I like a lot. And it's Asim in for Capsidal. So obviously, like, they play in some ways a similar style because they are both kind of in-your-face SMGs for the most part. Although we know Asim can pull out an AR if needed, which will probably be needed in this game the way it is. Asim also has that previous chemistry with Slasher, having played with him. He also kind of somewhat comes from the same-ish circle as Priesta, just because, they're in that Zuma, that Faze, that kind of tree.
Yep, the come up.
Yeah, that kind of come up tree where, Asim is good friends with Zuma, kind of was bound by Zuma. Priesta kind of was given his first big shot by Zuma and that Faze team. And like Asim and Crowder have the big connection, Priesta and Crowder. So they're kind of in that same circle. So I'm sure there's some friendship there at least. And Snoopy doesn't really have much of a circle right now, obviously, because he's a newer player. But I think Asim brings an interesting pickup to this team, more veteranship. It does suck to see Capsule go because I think he's really good still. Like, I think he's a very valuable free agent out there on the table that somebody could take a swing on and be very happy with him. But Asim is an excellent pickup.
Yeah, I do like this pickup, but both these players have at the times inconsistencies. Basically, like it's kind of like they're barely 1-for-1, in my opinion. So they kind of kept Capsule, but I guess they on an Asim's like veteranship leadership too.
Yeah, I'm excited for Asim also on this team because I'm a big Asim fan also, and everybody knows that. But I like the team because I think it might be Asim's best team that comes to mind. I mean, besides the anomaly one weekend LAG team where they win an event, because overall that team was pretty terrible. Besides the one Miracle Run weekend, this is probably the best team Asim's been on, unless I'm missing one since that New York team where they made a grand final with like Clay.
Yeah, I would say probably the
Time Flat.
best. Yeah, unless you count Black Ops 4, 5v5.
Yeah, they were pretty good, but more CDL era. I'm thinking this is ASIM's best team, unless I mean that little run they had with Rocker in the beginning of MW when they were like really good for a few tournaments. That team was pretty good, but this could potentially be talent wise the best team he's been on in the CDL.
Yeah, and that's how you see some back in the CDL for sure.
Yeah. Then LAT picks up Kremp and Nasty for Joe Deceives and Cammy. I like both pickups. I like Kremp a lot. Many people would say he's been the best challengers player so far this year. And I mean, we watched him last year. We watched him when we went to that event in challengers. He has a ton of talent. So I like that pickup. But then
Hmm.
Nasty, I also think has a ton of talent. Some people are bashing it because he maybe hasn't lived up to expectations, but I would also potentially put that on the fact that he's been on some pretty bad teams.
Yeah.
Which could have certainly affected it, but I like Nasty. However, I do disagree with the players dropped. I think it should have been Afro instead of Joe Deceives, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I just, Joe just for some reason I just think, he's just gonna break out one of these games.
And my thing with it is like Afro, we've seen plenty of Afro. Like we saw him on a bad London team, he shined. Then when London had like a little bit of a good run in the beginning of Vanguard, he looked pretty good on that team. And then like since then, he's had some, maybe not the best teams, but he just hasn't impressed that much. We see that the raw talent is definitely there with Afro. There's definitely a lot of mechanical raw skill,
Hmm.
but it just hasn't translated into much results. And like we kind of have seen him for a while now. Whereas with Joe Deceives, the one team we've seen him on last year was like that LAG team, which was like potentially like the worst CDL team we've seen in quite some time. And
Hmm.
I feel like Joe Deceives was a lot better than Afro at Major One on land in the one series. He played a lot better.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot more untapped there. So I would like to see the Joe Deceives, Kremp, Nasty, Ghosty iteration of this roster, and then we drop Afro and Cammy. But I also, everybody knows I have always advocated and been a big fan of Afro in the past. So I do know the talents there. Just I probably would have gone the other direction and kept Joe Deceives.
Yeah. And who knows if Afro does struggle, Joe is on the substitute.
Yeah, that was a
I
great
mean,
move, not to just fully drop him.
yeah, good move on Alex here, just to put him to substitute for now.
They did fully drop Cammy though, which could provide an interesting boost. Like if he goes on to challengers and plays really well and kind of finds his stride, he could be a potential um, high quality like veteran free agent pickup for a team midseason if he picks it up because with him being fully a free agent, it makes it much easier for him to move team to team rather than having to be bought out.
Hmm. One team comes to mind for me if he wants to get picked up is Vegas.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that when we get to the tier list. But apparently, actually, no, we'll talk about it. Let's talk Heretics first, and let's talk Vegas. Actually,
Okay.
um, so Heretics is bringing in Eric Boom for Journey. This is a little bit of a move where I'm kind of like, I feel like it's good, but I also don't 100% know a ton about Eric Boom because we haven't really ever seen him in the CDL. We've always been hearing his name that he's very good in challengers, and he was supposed to start on the team to start the year, and
Hmm.
then they swapped Journey in for him. The move seems to be good though. If Eric Boom has as much talent as people say he does, and he's sitting down in challengers, Journey has looked very rough for like I think I heard like 5 of the last 9 series. He has like a .7 or lower or
He's,
something like,
he struggled.
and he struggled big time in both the matches on land. So he has not looked very good at all. Being a super aggressive sub doesn't fit his playstyle at all in this game,
Yeah.
where players like that are really getting punished a lot. Although Metals is a pretty aggressive player as well, but he's been finding his stride more. So to me, this makes sense for Eric Boom to be coming
Hmm.
in for Journey to just try it out because it's not worked with Journey over the past few matches at least.
Yeah. He's also, like you said, been one of like, the top challenger players for the last year, year and a half.
Yeah, we always hear his name mentioned in the top players. Like he seems to be pretty good.
Yeah, so why not give him a shot?
Yeah, I agree. And then the team that you mentioned, Vegas, uh, very interesting here. Apparently, they are sticking with Purge. I had heard that on the flank from the other day. Unless something changed that hasn't been reported, it sounds like Purge will be sticking in the lineup and they will be sticking with the team they had, which to me is a mistake. Um, I think that you've seen enough from Purge where you could have picked up very easily ASIM or Kremp for
Hmm.
him and just let one of them run another AR because I mean you still would have Nero and Standy in this team. Nero could obviously be your main SMG in a lot of those 3 AR maps. Then you could have um Tatch and got to miss the other player. Attach Standy and then whoever you pick up. If
Yep.
it's like a Kremp or an Asim, you could have them run the 3 ARs. Then obviously, you can figure out a second sub. It could be Standy, it could be Asim, it could be Kremp. Any of them could really run it. So I think they missed out big time because I think they honestly would have been like a prime spot for people to go to. Yeah, well,
Mhm.
you give your thoughts on it. I'm gonna look up their schedule, but I'm pretty sure they like Vegas has like a really easy major 2 qualifiers.
I'm not sure about that, but my thoughts were, like you said, we've seen a major from Purge. He hasn't played the greatest, but outside a couple of games, he's had where they look decent. And so, but if they pick up like you said, Asim, Kremp, even Cammy, they can go farther. But it seems like they're sticking with Purge and they trust him for now, which helps build confidence in Purge.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just don't agree with it. I think like the writings on the wall could Purge end up being really good and making us eat our words, absolutely. But like right now, it is like Kremp and Asim and a lot of these players out there are just so much better
Mm-hmm.
that I would like to see them picked up. So looking at their schedule, they could get a false sense of security too because they could win a lot of matches. So their schedule for Major 2, they play LAG first, obviously a very winnable match. Heretics, with the way they've looked lately, is a winnable match. And then they get Ultra, so a tough match there. But then following that Ultra match, they get Boston, another winnable match. Um, and then they get LAT, very winnable. And then Seattle, very winnable. And then Carolina.
Okay.
So they avoid OpTic, New York, Faze. The only one of those top like 4 teams, if you're talking OpTic, New York, Toronto, and Faze, the only one they play is Toronto. So they avoid OpTic, Faze, and New York altogether, and they don't even have to play like Minnesota, who looks good right now.
Jeez.
Like they're avoiding a lot of teams. Like this has to be a split for Vegas where you're winning 4+ matches.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
got to take advantage of this, which is why to me, you don't want to get the false sense of security and play with a player that's not as good. I mean, Purge is a .8 on the year with an AR. That's just
Mm-hmm.
simply not going to cut it.
Yeah.
So you pick up a player like a Kremp or an Asim, even though I know Asim traditionally is a sub, this game is weird. You could have Standy slide to a second AR, Asim run a second AR. You could obviously pick up Kremp, have him run a second AR. Any of these players and challengers that are looking pretty good, and you got to make the move because this team right now, like Attach has looked excellent in this game. Nero has looked excellent. Standy's been okay, but also I trust Standy to pick it up when needed. So if you could
Mm-hmm.
have picked up like a stud flex player to go with this team, I think they would have propelled themselves into a potential top 6 conversation. So this is a very, very, very big miss for me if you're Vegas Legion.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see how it plays out. And like you said, false sense of security with their matches.
Yeah, we'll see how they do. If they really struggle with this schedule, then they're gonna have to make a move.
Yeah.
Then the last thing we've got before we jump into the tier list is Rio potentially coming into the rotation for at least Hardpoint. It sounds like. Apparently, it's been playing pretty well. It's looks like a pretty good map. It's nice, colorful, and pros have said it plays pretty well. They're already going over callouts, so seems like probably going to be coming into the rotation. So that's nice to see at least a new map. Sounds like it probably will be replacing Terminal for Hardpoint at least, which makes sense. I actually don't mind playing Terminal. It's just pure chaos, but I absolutely understand why the pros want it out because the spawns are horrendous. You're just spawning on top of each other repeatedly. Like back security on that P3.
Mm-hmm.
You're just
Yep.
constantly like you spawn security and then like you take 2 steps forward and the enemy team spawns behind you in security and shoots you in the back. It's like the spawns are horrible.
Yeah, you move up a little too far. Oh, they're in the back.
Even if you don't, you can be standing in that like back desk to the right of security and they'll just spawn behind you, which makes no sense.
Yeah. That's, very interesting. But yeah, hopefully Rio plays better.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it comes into rotation. Hopefully, it does right away for this major. I don't see why it wouldn't. They've had plenty of time to practice it in scrims during this break.
Yeah.
All right, you ready to do a tier list?
Yes, I am.
So this is one of my favorite things to do. In the past, we've maybe put like restrictions on how many players had to go in tiers. This time, we're just going to say unlimited. Can put as many in whatever tier we want. And if you'll notice in the list, I think there's only 43 players. That's because we did cut out some. So the way we looked at it, we thought it was kind of pointless to rank like Capsule, Cammy, Joe Deceives, Journey, and Illy. Obviously, Illy not officially dropped, but we're going off the rumor that he's dropped. So kind of pointless to rank those players since they're on their way out of the CDL. It kind of will just clutter the list more than it needs to be. And then we are not also ranking players like Asim, Kremp, Nasty, Eric Boom, and whoever the fill-in for Seattle would be, because also, once again, we haven't seen them play a single life on a map in the CDL this year, so kind of pointless to put them somewhere when we haven't seen them play at all. So just ranking the current active players that aren't being like dropped or currently picked up without playing a match. So there's 43 of them in total. Those players I named are cut out. Yeah, let's jump into it, Brock. I'll just start grabbing players and we'll throw them in tiers. The first one, top of the list. They're mostly in alphabetical order. I accidentally had to like shuffle them around a little bit, so there might be like a couple people out of place. We'll jump all around the board though. Let's start with Abezy. Where do you think he is? So
Abezy.
interesting, because normally he's an automatic S, but I don't think we're looking at that this year.
Not this year. I
I
think it's still A.
I'd agree. I think we're looking close to an A, because like his impact plays are still just like absurd, but he hasn't been that like normal, just stud we're used to.
Yeah.
Because I mean, let's face it, usually Abezy is like conversation for top of MVP. He's like the best SMG or second best SMG in the game. But this year, hard to say that. We've got guys like Simp and Pred, and I mean, the style that Abezy plays, I couldn't think of a worse game for him to be playing right now. Like
Yep.
in your face, running at you SMG. It's like the worst game ever for that, and he still doesn't even look bad.
Yeah. For the 3 AR meta right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yep.
I'm trying to look on here. Abezy's KD on the years, 0.98 for the role he's playing. And overall, we know the impact he brings still. First blood kind of guy in search and destroy is big time for him. He's still at what 0.18 for first blood percentage, which trails only Fame, Capsidal, and Simp, which is ultra impressive that him and Simp are at 3 and 4 on first blood percentage, because they're on the same team. So obviously that math means that team's pretty good at search and destroy.
Yes, it is indeed.
But I like Abezy in A. Let's throw him in there. Feels weird because he's usually almost an auto lock in S.
Yep. I like it.
Let's jump around the list here, Brock. Let's go to a player I'm curious to hear your thoughts on. Let's talk about Snoopy.
Snoopy.
Player that we all know has a really high ceiling. Don't feel like we've really seen him hit it this year, and that's partially due to Boston just really struggling and having a tough schedule.
Yeah. Snoopy on the year has a 0.97 despite all their struggles. And he's a sub player, which is, it's pretty hard to, get good KDs in this game with a sub, with the way the meta is.
Yeah, and once again, he plays that style where he's going to be really aggressive. I've liked what I've seen in flashes from him, though. He had a couple takeover matches in online. Obviously hard on land. He had such a limited sample size in one series. I personally think we throw him in the B tier now. I think he has A tier potential, but right now I think he's playing at a B tier level.
Yeah. I was thinking B hovering over maybe a B+.
Yeah, we'll see as we go on. I don't know if we're actually going to order them within their tier. I think we might just throw them in their tier because it takes so much extra time. It'll make this way too long if we like order them specifically within the tier. So like if you see like somebody at the bottom of B tier, but you think they're top, just know that we most likely did not order them in like an official order. They just got thrown into their tier that they're in.
Yep.
All right, Brock, pick a player and tell me who we're going for now.
We're going for Major 1 champion in Envoy.
Okay.
To me, this is a straight A.
Yeah. I would say he's right now probably viewed as at best third best player on their team, but that's not a knock because their team looked absolutely incredible.
Their team is insane right now.
They're
the best 3 KDs. The first 3 spots so far this year.
Which one are you sorted by? Are you sorted by just the major?
Not the major, but all.
Oh, I'm sorted by all, and I see Cellium as number 1 overall KD. That's weird. On Breaking Point, I have Cellium, Pred, Simp, Scrap, and Insights. I wonder if that's off or if we have a different filter on or something.
I might have a different filter on.
That's weird. But I mean, either way, Envoy has played incredible this year. The KD doesn't need to tell you that. He probably has the lowest KD on their team. Yeah, he does it at 1.03. And I mean, we know the work that Envoy is bringing. If he's bringing you a 1.03 with all the other things Envoy is doing on the map, we know that it's incredible out of him. And also, when a team looks this good, it's hard to say any player is probably not at least in A tier because they
Yeah.
are like clear cut, no debate, can't even argue it, best team in the game right now.
Yeah. Definitely the best team in the game.
I agree with you. Envoy's firmly in A tier. I just can't put him up in S because I think there's probably 2 players at least on his team that I'd rank ahead of him right now.
Yeah. I would have to agree.
All right, let's go. Let's talk about attach.
Ooh, attach.
What are you thinking on Dill so far this year? I actually think he's like borderline A tier, but I think we set him in B tier just due to team success not exactly being there. But he's had some really good flashes, so I like him in B tier.
hmm Yeah. I like attach and B as well. Maybe hovering over A because attach is very very solid player.
Yeah, I just think that there are some more players coming up that I like a lot more, and I think the A and S tier needs to be limited if possible because obviously that means they're the elite of the elite. And I think
Yeah.
there are plenty of players that we still have yet to rank that I would probably put ahead of him.
hmm Yeah.
Hmm. All right, where are we going next?
I'm just gonna put this player in the D tier. He has been a disappointment last year and most part far this year. Arcitys.
Unfortunate because we love Arcitys here, but yeah, it's true. He has not played well the past couple of years, and this year I thought it could be a potential turnaround for him. Still
hmm
definitely can because it sounds like he's gonna get another crack to play with the team this stage, but he gets on a team with a lot more talent this year, and so far it just has not looked that good for him, which is unfortunate because he's getting a reputation of like not being a very good player. But we know at his peak, Arcitys was an excellent player.
Yeah, he was sometimes carrying that phase team.
He's a top AR like for a good stretch of games there, really from like IW into BO4. I mean, World War II, he was pretty good, even though the team didn't have as much success. Into MW on the Huntsman team, he was pretty good. Then obviously Cold War, we know he had a really good year. Even Vanguard, I know they weren't like the best, but they were finishing second. Really, like that run from IW to like Vanguard, Arcitys was always viewed as a pretty darn good AR.
hmm Yeah, uh, it sucks to see him. It's kind of like not do as well or kind of like fall off, as you
Yeah,
say.
that is sucky, but yeah, he's definitely in D tier.
hmm
Trying to find a player I think is maybe C tier right now. And oh man.
Assault.
Yeah, is Assault C tier?
Hmm.
Or is he D? I guess we can put him in C. The team has looked okay. Let's throw Assault in C. I agree. He's teetering on D tier in my opinion. But
Looked better than I thought the team would.
yeah, and I think we can put him in C. He's had some moments. He's also had some really bad moments, which is why he goes all the way down to C. He's teetering on D tier, but I think we can put him C.
Yep.
All right. Well, should we get a clear S tier player on the board? Man,
Scrap.
sure. I was gonna say somebody else, but let's go with Scrap. Yep, Scrap's an S tier. Kid's incredible. His teammate won the major one MVP, but Scrap was right up there. He's looked incredible. I think we're gonna be seeing him as a staple up in that S tier for quite some time.
Yep.
Let's go to Clayster, the vet of the scene.
Play.
What you thinking on Clay?
For all the changes that the team has done, they've been pretty serviceable and into the games, not like blown out really. So I mean, Clay's not doing too bad either. I would think I'll go for a B.
I am in agreement with Clayster and B. Trying to speed it up so we don't take too long on the whole tier list, but I want to get the guy that I was going to put firmly in S since you got your boy Scrappy up there. I think it's the dude who probably has lived in S tier more than any player, and that's Simp.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think at times this year Simp has looked like the best player in the game. Uh, I just think his team has struggled obviously a little bit, which that's not even true. I take that back. They haven't struggled. They lost 2 matches. They're both on LAN, uh,
Yeah.
and they were undefeated online. Simp looked incredible online. He looked incredible on LAN. I mean, it's hard to like define what an SMG is because so many of them use ARs. But for a person whose role is technically supposed to be an SMG, Simp has been the best at it. Like, I mean, the dude's incredible. He arguably is the most talented player ever, and he's shown why this year. He's incredible, and I'm expecting him to live in the S tier this entire year.
Yep. Would have to agree. It's just I don't think he's ever been out of S tier.
No, and I'm to be honest with you, I think we might only have one more S tier player because S tier obviously has to be pretty limited. I think we might only have one more, but we'll see as the list goes on if there's any more you want to argue for. Because like some of our usual inhabitants of that S tier up there are not playing like it this year.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Abezy already down there. Should we just go ahead and throw Cellium in the A tier? I don't think Cellium's playing at that S tier level either, but he's still been very good.
I agree. Yeah, not quite S tier potential.
Like him and Abezy are usually living up there, but right now, Cellium, could he hit S tier by Major 2? Absolutely would not be shocked at all. It's what he does. But right now, I don't know. It's hard not to say because his KD is so good, but I just haven't felt like when I've been watching the matches, I haven't felt like, wow,
Impact.
Cellium's been making a ton of impact plays. And maybe that's just like the recency bias and like just like the overall bias we have on him as a player because like we're just so used to like 1.2s are normal for him. Normal for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does Breaking Point show? It says he's number one in the league with a 1.28 this year.
Yeah, that's just
Uh,
insane.
so like, I mean, yeah, it's stupid that that's what he's sitting at, and like on LAN he had a 1.29. It's tough to put him not in S tier, but I just don't like when I look at other ARs that we're gonna put in this one. It might only be scrap, but I just think that Cellium's a little bit below scrap right now, and I mean he could easily prove us wrong. Obviously, KD says he's best player, but I don't know. I just hesitate to do that just with the fact that I just felt like he hasn't been making as many impact plays this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was gonna say when you said that Faze is struggle, the only struggle is when they get to the finals and lose.
Yeah, really, it's really the thing. So that's why he goes in A tier.
Yep.
All right, you throw a player up here. Where you wanna go with this one?
Let's go with a player I've been staring at for the last minute or so. I want to put him in A tier, but I don't know how you feel about it. Put my man and your one of your favorite players, Kenny.
Yeah, I think Kenny's firmly in A tier as well. I think there were times this year where he's definitely looked like an S tier player, but I think he's had a couple series, especially like that losers finals, where he just hasn't come through. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Kenny is A tier. A guy that's in the short list for S tier players through one stage this year. And I mean, also we're ranking this not really much at all on their potential. It's their body of work where we see them right now. It's not much where we think they could go because like if it was where we think they could go, I'd probably have Cellium in S tier because I think he's going to reach that point where he's making more impact plays as he gets more used to his new role. But I agree. I think Kenny's an A tier player. He's been the second best player on OpTic so far this year.
Yep, I agree. And for what he does for the team, also, add that into it, like the comms and stuff.
Yeah, bringing a lot of comms over to the boys, also dropping a 1.02, and he was very, very good at the major. He obviously had the one bad series, but there were also series where he was really carrying in that major
Yeah.
along with
Mm-hmm.
Red.
And it's also like sometimes it's kind of hard to comm and fry at the same time. So just a good level of expertise.
Yeah, I fully agree. Let's go to one of his teammates. Let's go to one of Kenny's teammates. You pick one. Dashy, Shotzzy, or Pride. Who you want to rank next?
We'll go Shotzzy.
Okay. Shotzzy, an interesting one because also probably lower than his typical point. Uh, in my opinion, Shotzzy is not in the S or the A tier currently.
I would I would agree.
I mean, on the
He's
year, landed online account, he's got a 0.97, which obviously he looked much better online than on LAN. I still think for his pop off moments online, he deserves B tier, but I just don't think he's in the normal A tier range we see him at.
yeah, as of right now. I'd have to agree.
I definitely think he could obviously boost himself up, but right now I think he's in the B tier.
Yeah, obviously next major you probably know he'd be S tier. How good he
And
is.
meta changes or maybe bringing in maps like Rio and taking out some of the bigger maps could really help him as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Brock, let's talk about TJ, our boy.
Eej.
Our boy Teach has honestly looked pretty damn. I was confused. I couldn't find him for a second, but they don't have like anybody in Royal Ravens jerseys online. So
Yeah.
Teach in his Vegas Legion jersey. I think Teach has been a B tier player. On land, he looked incredible. He had a lot of pop off moments. I actually think
Mm-hmm.
for the B tier.
Yeah, I fully agree. Teej, whatever he did, he's revamped himself. It seems like he's pretty damn good at the moment.
Yeah, he's been very good. Um, let's see. How about your boy? How about your boy Standy? I have an interesting take on Standy. I'd like to see if you agree on it because I think he's also lower than we're maybe used to. I think Standy's in C tier right now.
Yeah, Standy right now is struggling. Now we typically see from him 0.96 on the year. Usually like
Yeah.
a 1.05 ish area.
Yeah, and out of 50 players ranked, he's sitting at what, 33 towards the bottom half of the league. Although I will say could partially be because when you do have a teammate dropping numbers that are, maybe not not necessarily on par with the rest of the league as purges, it sometimes makes you struggle. And also
Hmm.
just like a thing, like KDs are just like a rough point of reference. We're not just like looking at KDs and being like, okay, this guy's KD is this, he goes in this. Cause I mean, if that was the case, Standy would be ahead of TJ because they're right next to each other, both with 0.96s. They'd be right there. But
Hmm.
TJ, I feel like, has had more of an impact on his team winning maps when I watch the team than Standy. So that's why I have TJ and B and Standy and C currently.
Yep, I'd have to agree.
Brock, let's talk about one of your LAG boys, a player that has surprised a lot of people this year and has looked pretty darn good. That's Mr. Diamond Khan.
DC, man, he's been doing his thing. That's for sure.
I think he's an A tier player right now.
Uh-huh. Every time I watch him, he just like put up numbers and helping their team win.
And I've been liking the way he's been playing too. He's like bringing a style of AR where he's like aggressive but calculated.
Hmm.
And like I heard Clay talking on the Scump watch party about how in the New York camp when they had to drop Diamond Con from that roster midseason, it was because he played so similar to Clay, which is good gas because if you're playing pretty similar to Clay as an AR, that's probably a good sign.
Good
Clay's
guess.
done some decent things in his career.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, Diamond Con, he's playing with that Clayster type pace where it's like he's playing fast but calculated, which I will always say for whatever role you're playing, in my opinion, the best way you can play is fast and calculated. If you're playing fast and out of control, it's not good. But super fast players that are decisive on the map are like the thing that wins you maps, aka why Simp and Abezy have been so good for so long. They both play it with an incredible blistering pace since they've been a duo, but they're so calculated and smart with everything they do. I'm obviously not saying Dimacon's the level of Simp and Abezy as a player. He also plays a different role, but he's been very fast and calculated with everything he does, and I like it. And I think he's the best player on the LAG team. I like him in A tier, which I can't believe because can't believe somebody from LAG I'm arguing for A tier.
I know. You love to see it. We just the LG top 12, bottom 12. They're proving us wrong. That's for sure.
Yeah, they look really good, really, really good.
Hmm. All right, let's get a player out of here that we know is in D tier. His name is Purge.
Yeah, D tier. In my opinion, roster move should have been made already.
Hmm. But, they're having faith in him still.
You want to talk about Slasher now? An interesting one
Slash.
because online, was good, but then his one land series was absolutely incredible. But we can't put all of his stock in one single good land series.
Hmm.
So I think he settles out in B tier.
Yeah, solid B.
He's been a very good player, but not like an incredible player. His land series was incredible though. Land only, he's been S. I mean, he had like a 1.5 in that series.
Yep.
All right, who you want to rank next?
So let's rank Fellow.
Interesting, because once again, online, arguably like the worst player in the league this year.
Hmm.
But on land, he was putting up numbers. He looked pretty good.
Yeah, he was putting those, clutching here and there with the teammates. I like Fellow in Standard C.
I agree. I think he showed flashes of being a B tier player on land, but has been more of a D tier player online. So I like that we settle him out in the C
Hmm.
tier.
Yep.
Let's talk about a guy who was maybe in C tier or probably most definitely in C tier heading into the major, but had a very good series, maybe bumped himself up to low B. I think he's high C or low B currently. His team has been maybe the worst team in the league. That's Ghosty. One of the only two players we're going to rank from Thieves today because obviously two of them are getting moved into the lineup and we haven't seen them play and the other two are dropped. Ghosty,
Yep.
I feel like it's a CB argument. Where you falling on there?
I feel like we just put him in B for the fact that his team's other players have been struggling so much, and he's still putting up numbers.
Yeah, he put up
Kinda.
really good numbers. He was so bad. Like the whole team was just bad online. Is the thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Everyone,
I wouldn't be I wouldn't be mad if we put him in C.
I think let's throw him in B for now, and we'll see if he like sticks out and we want to move him down. Because B is obviously typically going to be the most populated tier because like you got your worst players in the league in D, you're just above that in C, and then like A, you've got your really good impact players, and S is obviously your top tier. B is like these guys are serviceable, solid players. It's obviously going to be the most populated tier usually, but I like Ghosty and B. If it looks out of place, eventually we'll move him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
Man,
I said there might only be one, but I actually think there's two more players in S tier. I think I want to just throw them both up there right away. I think Pred and Kleenex both land themselves in S tier.
I like it.
I think both of them go up there. I think maybe, I mean, Kleenex is clearly an S tier. He's the MVP of the first major. He looked incredible in a tough role in this game. I think Scrap, Simp, and Kleenex are safe S tiers. Pred, you can make an argument for, maybe not, but I mean, he performs in like every series for OpTic. He's just leading the charge in kills. Even in the series where they got smoked and the rest of the team struggled, Pred still put up numbers. Uh, he looks very good in this game. Looks very comfortable with an AR.
Mm-hmm.
I think I like Pred in the S tier as well. I
Yep.
think that's probably it, unless I'm really missing a player. There's maybe one more player left you could debate for it.
Maybe we'll see.
Let's talk about that player. It's Insight.
Yeah,
He's been incredible this year. He's
uh-huh.
certainly an argument for S tier.
Man, that's a lot of ultra players in S tier. It
I know.
is.
I think I want to put Insight in A tier, but it is very like if you're gonna tell me you put an Insight in S tier, I'm gonna say that's a fair assessment. But I think I want him in A tier.
Yeah, especially the finals, shots 1.42.
Yeah, I mean, we're not like officially ordering this really in an actual like order within the tiers, but like out of respect, I'm gonna put Insight at the top of A tier. That's the one
Yep.
person we're ordering because I like him in the A tier, but if you're gonna tell me you put him in S tier once again, I'm not gonna be like, okay, that's stupid. I'm gonna be like, yeah, you know what, S tier, I can see why you think that for Insight. He was incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's put I have a player that we can throw and see.
Okay.
Name is Fame.
Fame. Yeah, I'd agree. He's had some flashes, but he's also looked pretty poor at times. I think C is definitely a fair assessment for him.
Yep. I agree.
You want to toss, man, does he go in D, or because he had some decent land performances, does he find himself in C? I feel like since they got top four, we could put him in C. I'm talking about Big Wake.
Yeah, let's put on the back end of C.
He's been very underwhelming this year.
He's not the Wake we're known, not the 1.1 Wake we used to know.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You know, but their team did do turned it around, especially the qualifiers and Lamb.
Yeah, they obviously looked a lot better. And he had some maps where he was really popping off, but then all of a sudden when we'd be like, oh, he's back, you'd have maps where it's like, oh my God, he is just horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a
All right.
0.9 in the year, which for Wake's play style is just not going to cut it.
Yeah. I agree.
Although, for that team, I will say if Wake can pick it up and hit his stride, that's really scary because we know that they already got a top four with Wake looking like this. So if he hits his stride, this team could be scary.
hmm I have a player that I just want to put in B for the fact, we love him so much. His name's Lamar.
Oh, I want to put him in C.
Uh,
I mean, trust me, I would love to put him in S because we love Lamar, but I think he's been more in C tier unless like in KD wise, he's sitting at the same point as Arcitys.
yeah.
I don't think he's been like significantly better than Wake. I mean, he has been better than Wake, so I guess on his team he's been the better AR, which is shocking. I wouldn't have thought coming out of Major One I'd be saying that accuracy has been the better AR than Wake.
hmm
I think accuracy, just because I think B is going to be loaded with a lot more players. I think accuracy we throw him at the top of C.
I agree. I want to point out be the fact that it started off 0-3 and he turned it around, turned the team around with his leadership and stuff.
Trust me, I'm all for some Lamar propaganda. I love Lamar, but I just don't think I can do it because
I tried.
I think I would rather put his teammate up in B. One of our favorite CDL players, to my knowledge, the only player from our home state of Wisconsin, and that's Reese Vivid.
They did.
We're big Vivid stands here because I'm pretty sure he is the only player from the state of Wisconsin where we're from. So we love Vivid over here. And I think he's been solid. His role, once again, for his style of play is really tough in this game. But I think he's firmly in B tier. I feel like he's been above accuracy and Wake, and it's hard to put him in C tier and say that a team that finished top 4 at the major and won a bunch of matches in a row could possibly be having all their players in like C
Mm-hmm.
or B tier. How about we finish out their team? Linz, best player on their team. You think Linz winds himself up in A tier?
From what I've seen, he's crazy. He's so good. Let's put him in A.
There's a lot of talent in that kid. I
Uh-huh.
think he's an A tier player.
Yeah. I fully agree.
There's a
What
lot
he
of
does
talent
on
in
the
that kid.
map and stuff, jeez.
Yeah. Oh boy, let's go to a polarizing player, Brock. I think I know what tier I believe he should be in, and that's Draza. I think he's pretty firm in the tier that I have him in.
Draza.
He's been damn good this year.
He's been good. A?
I'd agree. I do think maybe he goes towards bottom of A, but I think Draza's been very good. I think he's been an A tier player this year.
Yeah. Mm.
Let's stick with the theme of A tier. I know maybe he hasn't been like the ultra superstar you expect, but the kid still just has just crazy moments. Overall, he's been pretty good in the year. They had a disappointing major, but Hydra's an A tier player still.
Yep. I would have to agree with that one.
All right, where are we going next?
We're going with. Let's go with Priesta.
Interesting. Team did not have the finish we think, but I don't think it's necessarily been fully on Priesta, but I also don't think Priesta's been an amazing player this year.
Yeah. B towards C? I don't know.
I think it would be fair to put him in like the top of C, but I also won't be upset with low B. I'll defer to you.
Let's put him in C. Top of C for now.
Okay. I don't mind it. I think he's teetering between the two. He hasn't been that good, but I think that the team's going to play better this split. I'm expecting a bounce back from Priesta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Let's go with a guy that I think there's a lot of debate around that I think has potential that you could put him in A and not hear a lot of argument, but I want to put him in B. That's Gwyn. I think he's been really good, but I think I still keep him in B tier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's been pretty solid for the team.
All right, where are we going next?
Let's go with Estriel.
It's a B/C for me.
Yeah. He's not look too bad at all for the sub player.
Yeah, he's had moments of pop off, but he's had a lot of yikes moments. But I think it's also the nature of this LAG team where
Mm-hmm.
they're not clicking on all cylinders. They might really struggle, and it might make the players in their team look worse than they are. I think he's a very good player, but I think he's top C, low B.
Yep.
Which one you got to go for? I'll defer to you on this one again.
I'll go C.
Okay.
More towards like the front area.
I agree. I think Estriel, like putting some players, you put him in C tier, it's like a bash in a way. But some players, it's not. Like Estriel, this is his first season, and I didn't know much about him. But like overall, my thoughts on Estriel are like mostly positive. Like I think he's a pretty good player with. There's a lot of talent there. Like there is definitely something there. He's definitely a starting caliber CDL player that I think could be on a successful team. I think there's something there with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Let's go with medals.
Okay, interesting.
1.06 KD of the year. To be honest, I've not really watched much of their games for whatever reason.
He's been very good. I think he's an A tier player.
I'll defer to you.
He's been very good this year. Like I'm so impressed because he's one of those players. Once again, I talked about it earlier. He's super hyper aggressive, but he seems at times a little bit out of control with it, but at times he seems so calculated as well. Like he's in the times where Heretics has looked good, it's been behind the like extreme aggression of Metals where he's just looked so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I like Metals up in A tier. Maybe some people would argue with it, but I think the style of play he has to have a 1.06, and I think he's been a catalyst for a lot of the Heretics successes.
Yeah, I would agree. Huh. Let's go with let's go with Afro.
Oh, that's a D tier.
Yeah.
He has not been very good this year, as much as it pains me because I'm a big fan of Afro. But I think we've got to throw him down in the D tier down there. That Thieves team has been abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, because those other Thieves players are out, that's why we only have a few people in D tier because like a lot of the players that got dropped, or all the players that got dropped, or at least rumored to be dropped, are obviously not here on the tier list.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our boy Nero.
Ooh.
Both of us also big fans of Nero. I think he's had some moments this year where he's really looked A tier. I think overall he's been more towards the top end of the B tier,
Mm-hmm.
but he's shown flashes to me that I think he could get to that A tier point this year. But
Yeah.
I like him in B for now.
Yeah, B. I like a B. Super underrated player.
He's always like people always overlooked him, but I've never understood why. Because every time I've watched him in the CDL, I've felt like he's a hyper aggressive, good SMG player.
Mm-hmm. Still don't know why he really got dropped from Boston, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, still a very weird situation, but I like him in B tier. I think Nero's a really good player. I think you'd be lucky to have him as an SMG on a lot of teams.
Yep, I agree.
Oh, where are we gonna put Vickle?
Fickle.
I think he's another B tier, but
Hmm. Towards end of B
yeah, I'd be okay with that. I mean, on the year
or
he's
top of
probably he's at a
C.
1.02. I think Vickle goes in low B. I agree. All
Yeah,
right, then Skies. Let's get some of these New York players off the board. I just realized we got 3 New York players left in the final 7 here. Let's get Skies off the board. Where's he fallen?
guys. Hmm. For some reason, I always want to put Skies in like the B upper echelon tier.
Interesting. He's 6th in KD, which I mean, with the role Skies plays and the players playing in front of him is always going to be pretty similar, or like pretty high. But I actually agree with you.
Uh,
I think Skies falls in the B tier.
yeah.
Don't want to get our A tier too loaded because we put some maybe question marks up there. Like people might argue against like Diamond Con or Lins or Metals, but I think it's fair to put Skies in B. I think he's been really good, but his numbers are always going to look good in my opinion.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get his buddy Kismet off the board.
Is
I think he joins him in B, to be honest.
yeah. I would agree. 0.92 under the year.
We know what Kiz brings to the team. It hasn't been his best showing, but I would not be shocked to see Kiz really step it up. I think at some point this year we'll be looking at him as one of our top SMGs again because he'll just be opening up the map for Hydra if the SMG becomes more viable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's finish out New York. Where you want Sib?
Dib. Talent. The talent he has A tier. Uh, I don't know. I'm leaning towards more B.
Yeah, he's had moments where he's looked so good this year. And I feel like there's a little bias against him because like the whole replacing Priest thing, people haven't liked it, but like Sib's at a 1.03 overall in the year. I think we put him in the top of B. I think people might not like that. I think they might think he's A, but I don't know. I feel like having 3 New York players in B and then Hydra and A is safe right now because like they played a little bit under because like to me, I think this is perfect because like if New York plays up to their potential that we saw in the online, it makes perfect sense. Hydra would slide up to S, Sib and probably Kismet would slide up to A, and Skies would just slide further up into B.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a lot of sense to me that they're like all just like maybe one tick below where they should be because they got double first rounded. So we're kind of questioning some things about them. But
Yep.
with a good performance, they all could just bump one spot up to probably where they belong.
Yeah. I have to agree.
All right. Then we got Lucky. Let's go with Lucky next. 4 players left here.
Lucky 1.03 on the year.
I think he's a B tier player.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we might have a lot of B tier players left here at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think about Dashy?
Dashy.
He's a really tough one to rank because once again, like I think he's had moments where he's been really good. I think he's also been playing like a weird style of play that we're not used to seeing. He's got a 1.07 online, and he had what do you have on LAN? On LAN, he had a 1.03. Like, yeah, he's hovering around that 1.05 range. I don't know. I just feel like we've seen a slower Dashy, which is I know the play style they've asked him to adapt to this year, but I just don't feel like we've seen top tier Dashy. I think he's going to be an A or S tier coming soon,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I want to put him in the top of the B tier.
Yeah, I would agree. Just the way don't like the way they have it playing. Obviously, literally the best shot in the league, playing him like hail and all that. Now let him go out
Super
and kill.
slow.
Yeah,
All right, then our final two players, Brock Abezy and Hook, the Surge duo.
Hook and Booza. I think Hook's a C player.
Yeah,
Towards B.
he's top C, low B. I feel like the players that are in C are a little bit of a step below him. I think both these guys might be B tier. I think it fills out our list a little bit nicer if they're both B tier, and I think Abuza and Hookah both shown flashes. They both had rough patches, but like
Mhm.
at Surge's good moments, I feel like they've both been good enough to get bottom of B. I definitely could see an argument for Hook B and C. I want to put Abuza B, and I'll let you decide on Hook.
Let's put a Hookah top of C.
Okay. All right. That wraps up our list. I don't really. The only person we were thinking about potentially changing is Ghosty, but I feel like Ghosty feels good in the B tier after his really good land performance.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, I'm gonna just quick run over the list for the audio listeners, then we can probably wrap it up. So if you're listening on the audio platforms here, the list we've got is in the S tier. It is Scrap, Simp, Kleenex, and Pred. In the A tier, we've got Insight, Abezy, Hydra, Kenny, Cellium, Envoy, DiamondCon, Lins, Draza, and Metals. The most loaded tier, it's in the B tier. It's Dashy, Sib, Snoopy, Nero, Kiz, Attach, Skies, Clay, Shotzzy, Tej, Slasher, Ghosty, Vivid, Vickle, Gwyn, Lucky, and Abuza. In the C tier, we've got Hook, Priesta, Estriel, Accuracy, Assault, Standy, Fellow, Fame, and Awakening. And then in the D tier, we've got Arcitys, Afro, and Purge. Obviously, those few players that you didn't hear, the ones that are currently getting picked up or dropped, were not included in the list. I think we made a pretty
Mhm.
good list overall. I like it.
Yep, I think it's pretty rounded out, to say the least.
Yeah, and it's obviously going to be ever changing. There could be a player in the C tier or the D tier that wins an MVP of a major. Although I guess if Arcitys, Afro, or Purge, or any of our players in C tier win a major MVP, I would be shocked
Yeah.
to say the least. I mean, who's the
Mm.
most likely in that? Maybe Priesta, because Boston's probably the best team. Maybe Awakening if somehow he does well and Minnesota pops off.
Yeah, probably.
But I think overall we're in a pretty good spot. I feel like I actually do think this year there's going to be a ton of shifting between that top of B, A, and S tier because like guys like Hydra or not, Hydra, Abezy, Cellium being in the A tier. Those guys are usually like staples in our S tier, and then even guys like Dashy, Sib, Ismit, Shotzzy, those guys being in the B tier. Those are usually staples of our A or even S tier. So I feel like there could be a lot of upward movement for some of these players.
Hmm. Yeah, like it. I like it though.
Yeah, I think we're probably ready to wrap this one up unless you got anything else.
No, just waiting for the matches to start up again. Playing rank play, having all the jazz and fun with that.
Yeah, the rank play's been pretty fun, but I am also ready for the matches to get back up. I just don't understand why we have to have so many breaks.
I know. Yeah, breaks don't make sense, but it is what it is.
All right. That's going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you liked this tier list, be sure to let us know in the comments. Let us know who you're moving around, who's in your S tier. Obviously, you might differ from us. I feel like overall, I don't think too many people are going to disagree with placements of players besides maybe one tier because that's always going to happen. But
Hmm.
we had too many crazy hot takes on here. I'd be interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the tier list and who you guys have in S tier. So, like I said, if you're on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you're on the audio platforms, drop a follow, drop a 5-star review. We appreciate all the support, and we will see you in the next one.